Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to ask all of you to be seated so that we can get our program started this afternoon. My name is Michael Spencer. I am the Dean at the University of Washington School of Social Work. I'd like to welcome you all to the city of Seattle and welcome you all to SWR. We'll be starting off with traditional land acknowledgement by the Puyallup Singers, and then that will be followed by our land acknowledgement by a Puyallup elder, Connie McLeod, who is also the heritage manager at the Puyallup tribe, and we shall begin. Oh, could I ask those who are able to please stand during our initial opening welcome.
Oh be seated. Good evening. My name is Connie McLeod, Cedar Moon woman, Sloop Pico. I am a member of the Puyallup tribe, Puyallup tribal elder, and I oversee our culture, language, and historic preservation program as the Heritage Division Manager. I've worked for the tribe for more than 50 years. I've had a variety of positions. And I want to thank you for the invitation to be here tonight. Thank you for inviting our drummers and singers here so that they too leave their voice and their breath here with you as a blessing, as a welcoming to you to our homeland. Our Salish people, the ancestors of this land, have lived here for thousands of years. At one time, there was a great flood. Our people packed their belongings in their canoes and traveled to the top of our sacred mountain, which I don't think was visible today. There they waited until the waters receded and occupied our sacred river, the Puyallup River, down to the Commencement Bay and out to the Salish Sea. Our people give thanks to our sacred mountain because that's where our water comes from. It is the spiritual and nutritional food for our people, providing the salmon, providing the animals, the deer, the elk, providing the plants, our huckleberries, our medicine plants, our plants that we use to gather and make baskets, make our clothing. Our way of life was a humble life, but a beautiful life. Everything we needed and wanted was here. Mother Earth provided for us. So as I welcome you here today to the beautiful Northwest, to the city of Seattle, a welcoming by our local tribes, the Duwamish, Suquamish, Muckleshoot, and Puyallup, whose homelands are close by, where we have always traveled through these waters and visited with our relatives, called upon them to help us in the time of war, and called upon them to come and socialize with us during the time of potlatching. I want to share one verse of a song to welcome you here. And again, thank you for the invitation to be here. Hoo-yay, 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 yaha. Hoo-yay, 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 yaha. Hoo-yay, 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 yaha. Hoo-yay, 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 yaha. Ay, 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 ay. Hey, hey, hey. This is a song I would have sang as I'm watching the water, the canoes approaching our homelands, welcoming those canoes and the travelers to our home. Again, I welcome you to this beautiful land, all my relations.
We're so honored to have our singers and our elder with us today present, and I hope that Her words really do mean something to you as you enjoy your time here in our city. In addition to the rich indigenous heritage here in the city of Seattle, we are also home to many Asian Pacific Americans. And we also would like to celebrate the Asian Pacific Island heritage of the Pacific Northwest. And I will introduce the Executive Director for Asian Counseling and Referral Services, Michael Byun.
Thank you, Dean Spencer. And I'm actually very humbled to be following after Elder Connie McLeod from the Puyallup tribe. I grew up as a visitor, a guest of the Puyallup tribe for many years as a child. So thank you for your words and your acknowledgement. I appreciate that. So welcome everyone to the Pacific Northwest. It's so great to have you here with us today. I want to take a moment to share a little bit in the brief remarks for a few minutes in terms of our organization, Asian Counseling and Referral Service, and our beautiful partnership with the University of Washington School of Social Work. I also want to take an opportunity on the front end to just give some perspectives and thoughts about your theme, which is strengthening social impact through collaborative research. And this is a really interesting opportunity here to be here in the Northwest and the unique place and the context of this place. So for Asian communities, for those who are arriving to the West Coast, this area is one of the first places that they arrived in the 1860s with the Chinese immigrants who had came here. They were in logging camps, they were in coal mines, and they were serving as domestic servants. If you are interested to learn more about the rich history of our Asian communities and our Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities, do visit the Wing Luke Museum, which is in the Chinatown International District. It is a fantastic cultural resource here in our community. The other thing I wanted to share about the context of this place and this region is it is a beautiful place of cross-cultural collaboration and coalition building. There's a deep history here. And an example and point is the fact that if you've ever heard of the Four Amigos or the Gang of Four, these are four incredible leaders in the community during the late 60s and early 70s. Roberto Maestes, Bernie White Bear, Larry Gossett, and Uncle Bob Santos, who worked together very closely to address injustices in our community. They worked to address opportunities and advocate for opportunities for our communities who are underserved. And they focused on protecting and preserving cultural resources and heritage and communities. And these folks leave a lasting legacy in our community. As an example and point, each of them founded some critical institutions in our community. The Central Area Motivation Program, founded by Larry Gossett. Seattle Indian Health Board, founded by Bernie White Bear. El Centro de la Raza, founded by Roberto Maestes. And Uncle Bob Santos, founding Asian Directors Coalition. ACRS's partnership with the School of Social Work runs along this same line in terms of collaboration and relationship building, and it's part of this rich history in our community. In the early 70s, during the time when refugees were arriving from, fleeing from the Vietnam War, we had seen in community where individuals were being misdiagnosed or inappropriately institutionalized. And the people that fought and advocated to ensure that they had access to language and culturally appropriate services were students and faculty of the University of Washington School of Social Work. In fact, one of our founders, Tony Ishisaka, was a faculty member at the School of Social Work. And today, that relationship continues to be long, rich, and deep and meaningful. We serve as an important practicum site for a number of social work students that come through our doors. Many of them stay to provide services, and others go on to take on important leadership roles in public and nonprofit organizations throughout our community and beyond. Additionally, we have these wonderful opportunities to engage in projects and through our partnership. And so, in fact, we're exploring right now an opportunity to address resilience in community and young people in the South Seattle area. So in closing, I want to thank you for being here, being in community with each other, and also taking this opportunity to build meaningful relationships with one another, which is an important aspect of the field of work that you're involved in. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your conference.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So wonderful to see you. Welcome. My name is Ramona Denby Brinson, and I'm proud to serve you as the SWR president. I also serve at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, in the role of dean and professor. We welcome you to. Okay. Thank you so much. We truly value our colleagues at the University of Washington, and we're indebted and so grateful to Dean Michael Spencer for literally opening doors and welcoming us to your beautiful state and establishing a tone in the room that is already felt. And so thank you so much for your graciousness. We appreciate your generosity and your support as well. Thank you for the warm and beautiful land acknowledgement and the welcoming tone that was established by the tribal elders and the singers. I can think of no better way than to begin our time together over the next several days than the ceremony that we were all just a part of. So powerful and so moving. And for me, a reminder of just the sanctity of love and sacrifice and progress. So thank you so much for establishing that for us. And I also appreciate our colleague speaking on behalf of Asian Pacific Islander leaders as well. Thank you for the work that you do and the impact that you're making in the community for so many people as well. Tonight, we have been looking forward to this plenary. My colleagues who have joined me on stage, we will talk in a second a little bit more about the topic and what we hope to do over the next few days in terms of our conference program. I would first like to also acknowledge the University of Pennsylvania, who not only is sponsoring our plenary tonight, but also is the affiliation of our speaker as well. So thank you for your support. Tonight, when after we hear from our keynote speaker, we will all convene on the second floor for a reception, and we're so grateful for the generosity of Washington University for supporting that. And also, as they celebrate their centennial, we recognize the work that they have done and the tremendous impact that they have in the academy as well. Before I get into our program too far, I do want to acknowledge the other sister organizations and leaders that are here today. It is so important that we as social workers support one another. And I know over the course of the past few days, I've seen several of those organization leaders. And so I'm going to read off the names and ask that the president or the board members please stand and remain standing until we've acknowledged all of our sister organizations. Starting with NAD, National Association of Deans and Directors, will you please stand? National Association of Social Workers, NASW, Council on Social Work Education, CSWE, American Academy of Social Workers and Social Welfare, SCORE as well, National Association of Black Social Workers as well. Thank you all for all that you do and your leadership. I do want to just take a sidebar for a second. While we are truly privileged to be here with each other this evening and to spend time over the weekend, I would be remiss because I'm often reminded about the ongoing devastation and the atrocities that are occurring worldwide. And right here close to home for us as my mind, like many of you, I know, and your hearts have been with our fellow citizens and residents who are right now enduring just tremendous loss in the greater Los Angeles area as a result of the wildfires. So our heart is certainly extended to them. I want us to think all the time that while we are certainly privileged and we take moments like this to come together annually, and there's nothing wrong with us expressing joy and networking and being with each other, that we bear in mind that we are in a privileged status and that there are people that are suffering, and so we constantly remember them, and we're a part of their struggle and their fight as well. I want to talk for a moment about our attendees, you all, because we are super excited this year on behalf of our social work board, our SWR board, and I'm going to ask that they stand collectively, and please remain standing for a moment. Will the SWR board members please stand? Thank you. You all are looking at the hardest working board in the land. They truly are the best. Thank you for all that you do. But we welcome you as a board, and we are proud to say that you all have helped us this year establish a historic record. For the first time in SWR's history, we have 2,300 attendees at our conference. So thank you all. Thank you all so much. I'm going to say to Dean Spencer, there must be something about Seattle. I don't know what it is, but 2,300 people, and so we appreciate your ongoing support of SWR. We're excited about the hundreds of papers, roundtables, posters, symposia, flash talks, and other special panel presentations. The research topics are diverse. The methods on display are rigorous, but most importantly, you are using your science in translational ways and impacting collectively the work that we do as social workers in this unprecedented time when the U.S. and individuals, families, and communities need us more than ever. I remain grateful for our profession and what you do as social work researchers. We are quite accustomed as social workers to posing challenging questions. We respectfully disagree with one another, but we always should remember that we center our work and our discourse around social work values. We are a profession that can speak our truth. We can speak our research findings, and although it may be difficult for some to hear and accept those things, we must uplift one another, exude respect for one another, and never waver in our quest for equity and social justice as we pursue excellence. As social workers, we must continue leading the way by convening and sparking bold and courageous conversations and by taking action. Thank you for using your science to improve countless lives worldwide. You will hear in a moment from a dynamic keynote speaker this year, Dr. Desmond Upton Patton of the University of Pennsylvania is with us this evening, and you all are in for a treat. I can't tell you how excited we got when we heard that he accepted our invitation. I think Tammy, we may have even heard a little scream from Tammy, one of his colleagues, as she conveyed the great news, and we are so thankful and appreciative of your dean as well for the sponsorship of tonight's talk as well. But as we begin to move in tonight's program, I'm going to ask Dr. Mary Ohmer will do a more formal introduction in a second of our keynote speaker. But before she takes the stage, I just wanted to take just 2 points around SWR business. And this won't be a full-on business conversation because we will have a business meeting at 5:45 on Saturday, and we hope that you all will join us. But we do want to announce the results of our elections that were recently held. And I'll ask if the winners are here, if they will actually stand too. But I am proud to report and say that we have a new president-elect, Dr. Kurt Foster, Dean of Social Work at the University of Texas, Arlington. Thank you, Kurt, so much. Vice President-elect Dr. Rocio Calvo of Boston College. Okay. Okay. And our new treasurer is Dr. Virginia or Jenny Ramsire Winter from the University of Minnesota. Okay. We were able to fill one of our director-at-large positions at Dr. Adrian Baldwin-White with Virginia Commonwealth University. We will fill the other 4 director-at-large positions in a runoff. You all received the email where we explained to you of the tie vote and that we need to go into a runoff. And so thank you all for running. It's important to serve on the SWR board. So many good things are happening. We are advancing a bold, ambitious strategic plan that started under our past president, Dr. Sean Joe, and so we really need your help and your leadership as we do that. I do want to take another moment to acknowledge members of our community that we have lost since last year. And so I want to do a quick memoriam and just take a moment of silence to acknowledge who we have lost since we last gathered together as a community. Dr. Ellen Tuckman from New York University. Their legacies will continue to live on as we think about the impact that they have had. And so the last order of business before we get to the reason that we came here, our keynote speaker, I will ask my colleague Carrie to join me here. We have an exciting announcement for you, and I kind of feel like the cat is already out the bag, that it has been, yeah, as I hear from the audience, that this may not be breaking news, but we do want to share that the leadership of the Society for Social Work and Research and Grand Challenges for Social Work, we are announcing that we will be integrating our work and working collectively on initiatives and moving forward this year in 2025 to plan much of that work. This process is driven by our boards. Our boards voted unanimously in support of our integration, building out our infrastructure. This new collaboration is well-timed as the Grand Challenges will celebrate its 10th anniversary in 2026. This collaboration will enable SWR to expand its ability to translate high-impact social work science into practice, policy, and community impact. Conversely, it will raise the visibility of and provide a national and sustainable platform for the Grand Challenges. Carrie, who is the chair of the Grand Challenges for Social Work, will say a little bit more about our integration.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody. On behalf of the Grand Challenges, we are absolutely thrilled to become a program of SWR. This partnership will benefit the entire field of social work, really enabling us all to create more solutions and innovations to promote a more socially just and equitable society. While there will be some organizational changes within the Grand Challenges, the core of the Grand Challenges, namely our dynamic networks, will continue to remain and do exciting work. And in fact, as we become a program of SWR, we really expect to see the topic areas of our Grand Challenges evolve as the social challenges and grand challenges of society evolve. So we're excited to continue to incorporate more and more voices in the field of social work. So we very much look forward to the opportunities and the possibilities, and we're thrilled to celebrate the first 10 years of the Grand Challenges at SWR January 2026 conference, and then kick off the next generation of the Grand Challenges. So thank you very much, everybody.
Welcome to the 2025 conference. Let's all get a round of applause. Woo! Thank you so much, Ramona, for your leadership as our president. And we're going through some exciting changes. You got to come to the business meeting on Saturday. And it's been such a pleasure working with you and the board on this conference, and has been my privilege and honor to serve as your vice president and 2025 conference chair. And I'm the chair of the Community Organization and Social Action Specialization at the University of Pittsburgh School of Social Work. Thank you, Dean Spencer, for such a beautiful opening to this plenary session and for the exemplary work you're doing around our theme, which is strengthening social impact through collaborative research. We are so excited to be here, and I know a lot of the sessions are actually focusing on this theme, and so I appreciate all of the people that have come together to present here today. Collaboration starts with us, right? I'm deeply grateful for everyone who contributed to making this conference happen. I want you to stand as I recognize you. I want to thank the SWR board members who served on the conference committee. Can you all stand, please? Yay. So we had a very interesting, positive challenge this year. You heard we have 2,300 attendees. We wouldn't have had that if we wouldn't have had an increase in abstracts. We had a large increase with a record-breaking 2,575 abstracts submitted this year. And this was a challenge, right? A positive one, though. We really worked to keep the acceptance rate the same, and we discussed several options and came up with two. We increased the electric posters by 110 posters, and we created a new presentation form called Flash Talks. We have a total of 24 Flash Talk sessions with 168 papers at this year's conference, which did allow us to accept a much larger number of submitted oral papers for the conference along with those posters. This is a presentation format that has been around at other national conferences for a lot of years, and it's a way for researchers to learn how to present their material and their research in an accessible format that is both open to academic and also non-academic and community settings. So thank you to our past VP and President-elect Kirk Foster, our Director-at-Large Justin Hardy, and our doctoral student representative Fatima Malbrook, who worked together to actually create a video tutorial and other helpful materials for presenters and moderators. Thank you everyone who's actually presenting at this format and stepped up to actually take this challenge. We could not have done this conference without our cluster co-chairs. We have asked additional people to step up this year, and we now have 85 cluster co-chairs for 28 clusters. Can you all stand, please? Anybody that's a cluster co-chair, please stand. Yay. We just approved a new cluster led by our board member, Justin Hardy, and members of his historical research special interest group, and it's going to be on historical social research. So we're very, very excited. These cluster co-chairs play a pivotal role in leading abstract review and development of paper sessions and providing feedback and ideas for the conference committee. We couldn't do this without our reviewers. We opened up the process for reviewers to all SWR members a few years ago, and we had 453 reviewers who conducted 5,150 reviews. Can you stand if you're a reviewer? Yay. Thank you so much. We had some amazing pre-conference workshops this morning. Thank you to Vice President-elect Chris Hand, please stand, for leading and coordinating these amazing sessions. Thank you to the SWR Executive Committee, the SWR staff, DJ and Jennifer, for your support and tireless efforts to continue and improve this conference and ensure that long-term sustainability of this organization, as well as a positive experience for everyone at the conference. I want to actually thank Joan Blakey, is she here, our board member who's in charge of the awards, for helping me to shepherd in a new award. It's the first Community Research Partnership Award. It's sponsored by Cognella Publications, and I have an award task force and committee. If you're a part of that, please stand. Thank you for helping me put this new award together. We received 44 nominations. Come to the award ceremony on Saturday to meet those awardees. On behalf of the SWR board, I also want to thank our sponsors, and particularly University of Pennsylvania School of Social Policy and Practice for this session. So our theme is social impact. What the heck is that, right? So there was an American social entrepreneur that's quoted Bill Drayton for bringing this term into fashion in the 70s, but we know this is something social workers have been doing for a lot longer. This really means efforts to create social change by fighting social injustice. We're all capable of making a change, and therefore we are all change makers ourselves. Social impact goes beyond the program or individual level. It is the impact of many different partners working in collaboration that can have an impact on specific populations or communities. It's community social work science at its finest. Social work scholars are working better to understand and address community and population level issues like environmental justice and health equity and violence and inequality and many other complex social problems. Social impact means that social work researchers work in collaboration with community members and partners and people with lived experience in co-creating knowledge and solutions for social change and social justice. Responsibility is shared through genuine, authentic partnerships. Impact is generated when diverse people and groups come together around common goals. This means respecting difference, being willing to have challenging conversations, working both likely and unlikely partners, usual or typical, but people that we're not used to working with, people at the grassroots level to people with experience addressing problems at the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. I'm so excited to introduce our plenary speaker, Dr. Desmond Upton Patton, whose research and efforts exemplify strengthening social impact through collaborative research. Dr. Desmond Upton Patton is the Brian and Randi Schwartz University Professor and has joint appointments at the University of Pennsylvania School of Social Policy and Practice and the Annenberg School for Communication, and secondary appointments in the Department of Psychiatry and the Perelman School of Medicine and Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. He was recently inducted as one of the youngest members of the National Academy of Science. He's a pioneer in interdisciplinary fusion of social work, communications, and data science. His work illustrates how collaborative research can have wide-ranging social impact. Dr. Upton Patton's groundbreaking research into the relationship between social media and gang violence has led to him becoming the most cited and recognized scholar in an increasingly important area of social work science. His early work attempting to detect trauma and preempt violence on social media led to his current roles as an expert on language analysis and bias in AI, and a member of Axon's Ethical and Equity Council, Spotify's Safety Advisory Council, and a consultant at TikTok. As a social worker, Patton realized existing gold standard data science techniques could not accurately understand key cultural nuances in language amongst predominantly Black and Hispanic youth. In response, he created the contextual analysis of social media approach to center and privilege culture, context, and inclusion in machine learning and computer vision analysis. In 2018, Professor Upton Patton published a groundbreaking finding in the prestigious Nature journal Digital Medicine, which uncovered grief as a pathway to aggressive communication on Twitter. Widely referenced across disciplines, Patton's research has at the intersections of social media, AI, empathy, and race has been mentioned in the New York Times, Nature, the Washington Post, NPR, Vice News, ABC News, and other prestigious media outlets. Desmond is a 2023 Obama Foundation USA Leader, a 2019 Presidential Leadership Scholar, Mozilla Rise 25 Change Agent awardee, and noted as a Rock Health Top number 50 in digital health. It is so my honor and privilege to have you speak and introduce you. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome both those joining us at SWR for the first time and for those of us who are returning. I am thrilled to be back at SWR, a community that inspires and pushes boundaries for what is possible in social work science. Tonight, I am honored to discuss the transformative potential of collaboration as innovation in our field. But before we dive in, I too want to take a moment to acknowledge the devastating fires affecting the broader Los Angeles region. My thoughts are with our colleagues, friends, and families that are navigating this tragedy. You see, collaboration has been central to my work, but only recently have I begun to truly understand its power as a driver of innovation. You see, it's not just a tool or a process, it's a way to imagine new possibilities, tackle complex challenges, and create systems that better reflect the needs and voices of the communities we serve. And so today, I want to do three things. I'm going to share key lessons I've learned from all of you and through my own research. I'm going to propose a framework that situates social work science as a leader and a builder in the space of collaboration. And I want to inspire a conversation about how we can push collaboration beyond what we think it can do, both in research and practice. So my journey in collaboration began in 2004 when I started my MSW program at the University of Michigan. I was a part of the community-based initiative program taught by Dean Spencer. It was a transformative experience that shaped my understanding of what collaboration can and should look like in social work. You see, at Michigan, collaboration wasn't just a concept we discussed, it was something that we lived. Taking classes in a local settlement house allowed me to engage directly with the community and learn in spaces rooted in history and resilience. Learning alongside a diverse cohort of classmates, some of them are here tonight, showed me how different perspectives enriched our work. And supporting local Detroit nonprofits demonstrated the necessity of aligning our academic knowledge with the lived experiences and expertise of the communities that we serve. Now, I'll admit, in the pictures from that time, I'm 20 years younger, and I had a little bit of hair back then. But what I came to understand is this. The strength of social work lies not just in collaboration itself, but in how we collaborate. I learned about the power of effective communication, not just speaking, but truly listening. I learned to value listening over decision-making, allowing space for the voices of others to shape outcomes. And I saw the importance of showing up with authenticity, building trust by being genuine in our intentions and actions. And I realized that at the heart of collaboration is prioritizing relationships. Because it is through relationships the meaningful, lasting change is possible. So this foundation has shaped every step of my journey and continues to guide how I approach collaboration as a form of innovation today. So there's an African proverb that guides my thinking. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is what makes collaboration in social work different. You see, it's not collaboration for collaboration's sake. is about harnessing the overwhelming power of the collective to push beyond the surface and engage in transformational justice work. So why does this matter? Because true collaboration brings diverse voices and lived experiences to the table. Voices that challenge dominant systems and demand something better. It requires us to slow down, listen deeply, and prioritizes relationships over quick fixes. It forces us to take on the hard work of addressing root causes, not just symptoms of systemic injustice. This kind of collaboration isn't easy. Y'all, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, and sometimes it's painfully slow. But the payoff is that it's groundbreaking, it's generational, it's justice. So if we want to go far, to create the systems and solutions our communities deserve, we can't do it alone. We have to go together. So collaboration within social work is powerful, but it's not enough. To truly innovate, we need to break out of our silos and expand the way we think about collaboration. Many of us are already doing this, building bridges, computer science and policymaking, educators, medicine, community leaders, and beyond. But here's my question. What would happen if we didn't just participate in collaboration? What if we led it? What if we, as social work scientists, become the architects of a new kind of collaboration? One that defines and redefines how disciplines work together to tackle the biggest challenges of our time. This is where I think we need to go. And it starts with asking, what is collaboration? And how can we redefine it for the future? So currently, we define collaboration as the intentional, inclusive process of bringing together diverse perspectives to co-create knowledge and solutions. So why does this definition work? One, it highlights intentionality, a core value of social work that ensures our efforts are purposeful and not performative. It emphasizes inclusion, centering voices from diverse perspectives and lived experience, which is essential to equitable solutions. And it focuses on co-creation, moving away from top-down approaches to genuinely shared problem solving. So who benefits? Communities gain solutions that reflect their realities. Researchers expand their perspectives and produce more robust knowledge. And practitioners bridge the gap between theory and practice in transformative ways. But here's the gap. This definition doesn't fully account for the demands and the complexities of the 21st century. What's missing? Technology. The role of AI and social media and emerging tools in shaping collaboration. Interdisciplinary reach, expanding beyond traditional social work partners to include fields like data science and engineering and public health. And to make global work a major focus, addressing the interconnectedness of today's world, things like climate change and mass migration, digital inequity, and more. So why is this missing? Because our field has often focused on the familiar, staying grounded in our traditional approaches and relationships. Now, while this has been valuable, it has also limited our capacity to adapt to rapid change. So what does social work need to expand this definition? We need the courage to innovate, to experiment with new tools, technologies, and ideas. We need investments in interdisciplinary partnerships, to think beyond our boundaries and to collaborate in uncharted spaces. And we need a bold vision for leadership, to move beyond being participants to pioneers of collaboration. So this is the moment to redefine what collaboration means and claim our space as leaders for this future. But y'all know that collaboration isn't always a success story. In fact, poor collaboration can do more harm than good. So here's when it goes wrong. When it's transactional and not relational. Partnerships that feel like check boxes instead of authentic connections. When there are no clear goals or investment or adaptability. Without these, collaboration becomes a confusing mess of unmet expectations and lost opportunities. When we're doing more talking than listening. When collaboration centers our voices instead of the communities we serve, it fails. Institutions that maintain control. When projects are always owned and decisions are always made by institutions, they reinforce power imbalances instead of dismantling them. So here's the truth. Collaboration requires more than just good intentions. It demands an ethical foundation. And to get it right, we need to evaluate power dynamics. Who holds the power in partnerships? Who doesn't? We have to give up power when necessary. True collaboration means sharing decision-making, authority, and resources. And we have to build trust. Trustworthy partnerships aren't built overnight. They require time and consistency and accountability. So collaboration isn't just a strategy, it's a responsibility. And if we aren't willing to do the hard work of evaluating power and prioritizing relationships, y'all, we ain't collaborating at all. So, how many times have you all been asked by the medical school, can you join our Community Gauge project and offer insights on engaging diverse communities? Or by an NSF grant, can you help us broaden participation? Well, I think we've all been there. And here's the thing, we know what true collaboration is, so let's take a page from our own community. Collaboration should be inclusive. Again, not the kind that checks boxes, but the kind that values voices not in the room or builds an entirely different room to center those voices. It is co-creative, where everyone at the table is shaping the outcome, not just observing. It's trustworthy and accountable, where relationships are rooted in transparency and follow-through. It's ethical and reflexive, constantly questioning who benefits, who's harmed, and how can we do this better? But let's confront some realities. This isn't the kind of work that moves fast and breaks things. Collaboration like this is slow and thoughtful and deliberate. And for the TikTok folks in the room, I might even say it's demure. And here's the kicker. This type of work doesn't often get the recognition that it deserves. So if we want to push collaboration forward, tenure and promotion committees need to value it. When we see a junior colleague forging ahead with bold, innovative projects that center collaboration, we need to support it and celebrate them, not just in words, but in action. So what could collaboration become? It could become the foundation for transformational work that doesn't just change systems, but reimagines them entirely. So let's talk to the solo researchers in the room. You're doing groundbreaking theoretical or historical work. Maybe it's not backed by NIH funding or doesn't require a large, expensive team, but here's the thing, collaboration is for you too. Even if you work alone, I think collaboration can open doors you didn't know existed. So here's how collaboration, I think, can benefit solo researchers. It can deepen methodological rigor. Engaging with others can push your methods further, bringing in perspectives that sharpen your work. It can foster creativity. Collaborations introduce fresh ideas that help you see your research in a new and unexpected way. It can scale your impact. Through collaboration, your work can reach new audiences and influence fields beyond our own. It can build professional networks. Partnering with others expands your circle, creating opportunities for mentorship and partnership and advocacy. It can help you get access to good feedback. Through thoughtful collaboration, it can provide constructive critique that improves the quality of your work. So collaboration isn't just for large teams or big grants. It's a tool that amplifies and enhances the most independent work. So when we embrace collaboration as solo researchers, we don't lose independence. We gain a powerful community that helps our work grow and thrive. So we've talked about the potential of collaboration, its challenges, and even its gaps. So now let's look at what success can actually look like. So in our field, there are collaborations that I think truly stand out. Projects that go beyond surface and demonstrate what's possible when we do this work thoughtfully and intentionally. So I think these examples showcase deep engagement with stakeholders, centering the voices of those most impacted. It incorporates historical, social, and cultural context, recognizing that context shapes everything. And it employs flexible and adaptable methods, understanding that collaboration isn't a one-size-fits-all, it evolves with the work. So let's explore some collaborations and the lessons I think they offer for all of us. Dr. Laura Neeson's work from Portland State University exemplifies innovative collaboration, grounding social work education in future thinking to equip the profession for emerging global challenges. Through her Social Work Futures Lab, Laura integrates participatory foresight methods, tools commonly used in fields like public health and technology and environmental science to help social workers anticipate and respond to complex systemic changes. So research underscores the necessity for future thinking in social work. Rapid tech advancements, climate change, and shifting demographic trends demand approaches that go beyond reactive solutions. And Laura's lab creates frameworks that challenge traditional models and prepares practitioners to tackle problems before they escalate. Laura's work also highlights the importance of a theoretical evolution in social work. Futures thinking builds on systems theory and critical social work by emphasizing adaptability, ethical foresight, and the integration of diverse perspectives. Her participatory visioning exercises and cross-sector collaborations serve as a model for how social work can innovate in ways that are both ethical and impactful, ensuring the profession remains relevant and effective in a rapidly changing world. Collaborative innovation is imagining a future that centers humanity, equity, and excluded voices. Laura's work in integrating futures thinking into social work demonstrates that true innovation requires more than just addressing immediate needs. It demands envisioning a future that prioritizes the well-being of marginalized communities. Research published in journals like Nature and Science reinforces this point. Inclusive collaboration is essential for addressing complex systemic challenges. Studies show that teams with diverse perspectives are better equipped to reproduce creative solutions for global issues, from climate resilience to public health. Employing an equity-centered design has been identified as a critical method for bridging the gap between technology and humanity. And incorporating excluded voices not only ensures ethical outcomes, but also builds trust and legitimacy in solutions. And participatory frameworks enable marginalized groups to co-create solutions, leading to more durable and contextually relevant impacts. You see, Laura's emphasis on cross-disciplinary engagement and participatory visioning connects directly to this body of evidence, showing that social work can lead in areas where other disciplines fall short. Embedding equity, trust, and ethical reflection into the foundations of innovation. So let's bring this all together. We've explored how collaboration can drive innovation, learn from examples like Laura Neeson's work, and discuss the importance of centering humanity, equity, and excluded voices in shaping the future. So now let's focus on one of the most powerful catalysts for collaborative innovation, diversity. So why does diversity matter? Diverse teams challenge dominant narratives, bringing fresh and creative solutions to complex problems. Inclusion isn't just ethical, it is strategic. Research consistently shows that diversity fuels better outcomes in science, technology, and social systems. And when we privilege diversity and inclusion, we create the conditions for truly transformative work that reflects and serves the complexities of the world we live in. So let's explore examples where diversity and inclusion are not just values, they're driving force behind groundbreaking collaborations. Dr. Daphne Watkins' YB-Men project at the University of Michigan is a remarkable example of collaborative innovation in action. For over 10 years, YB-Men has engaged Black men in mental health conversations with using culturally responsive tools, a testament to the power of impactful, deep engagement that stands the test of time. So what makes YB-Men stand out as a model for collaborative innovation? You see, it uses culturally grounded focus. YB-Men is designed with and for Black men, addressing the stigma around mental health while honoring their lived experiences and cultural identities. It believes in co-creation. The project brings young men into the process, not just as participants, but as co-creators of content and evaluation methods. And this ensures that tools are relevant and authentic and speak directly to their realities. It has a focus on connection. Using online platforms and social media, YB-Men creates safe space where participants can share, support one another, and find community, redefining how mental health interventions can look and feel. It has sustained impact and scalability. Celebrating 10 years is no small feat. YB-Men's longevity and adaptability demonstrate how meaningful collaborations can lead to sustainable change with lessons that can inform work in other communities and contexts. So why does this matter? Dr. Watkins' work exemplifies how collaborative innovation can reimagine traditional approaches in mental health. YB-Men shows that when we prioritize cultural competence, invest in co-creation, and commit to building trust over time, we can develop transformative solutions that truly matter. YB-Men is a powerful reminder that collaboration isn't just about bringing people together, it's about staying committed to the process, the people, and the possibilities over the long haul. So, collaboration isn't just something I study, it's something I've been shaped by, challenged by, and humbled by. You see, in Chicago, I encountered Jakira Barnes, a young Black girl whose story fundamentally changed the way I understand collaboration. Jakira was known for her presence on social media, where she expressed grief and strength and violence and her connection to her community. And in her death, she taught me one of the most important lessons of my career. Collaboration requires deep listening, or it fails. You see, when I first began studying social media, I treated it as a tool, a way to observe and analyze behavior. But Jakira's story taught me that social media is life. It is a neighborhood where young people process grief and celebrate joy and build connections and live their truth. By not listening deeply enough, I missed opportunities to truly understand the humanity and the complexity of those experiences. So this is what I learned from Jakira's story. Collaboration includes failure. Mistakes are inevitable, but they can create fertile ground for growth and innovation. Listening is a non-negotiable. If we aren't centering the voices of the most marginalized, we aren't collaborating, we are imposing. Relationships are everything. True collaboration is built on trust, shared power, and mutual accountability. Her story became the foundation of my work studying social media as a neighborhood. Using Twitter and artificial intelligence and partnerships with youth and violence prevention organizations, I've sought to honor Jakira's legacy by building tools and systems that amplify marginalized voices, responds to real needs, and prioritizes community-driven solutions. I first encountered Jakira Barnes in a Chicago Sun-Times article that called her the gun-toting gang girl of Chicago. The headline was shocking, reductive, and deeply dehumanizing. It painted a picture of Jakira as nothing more than a teenager lost to violence, a stereotype we've weaponized against young Black people time and time again. The article stayed with me, and I wanted to understand more. As a part of my research, I began analyzing Jakira's Twitter posts. Now, at first, I was looking at her tweets through a detached academic lens, examining her words, her interactions, and how she navigated social media. But as I read, I began to see a very different story. You see, Jakira's posts weren't just about glorifying violence. They were about processing unimaginable grief. They revealed her humanity, her strength, her vulnerabilities, her love for her friends, and her attempts to find connections in a world that had offered her so little. This experience taught me a hard lesson about collaboration and the ethics of research. You see, I realized that I had started this work with blind spots. I had focused on analyzing data without deeply listening to the person behind the post. I had followed the methods, but lost sight of the purpose. I missed the opportunity to truly see Jakira, and that failure stayed with me. You see, what Jakira taught me in depth is that collaboration requires deep listening, humility, and reflexivity. It's not enough to just gather data or tell stories. We have to ensure that our work centers humanity and reflects the lived experiences of those we study. Ethical collaboration means interrogating our power as researchers. Who benefits from this work? Who is excluded? And how do we ensure that our work doesn't reinforce the very systems of oppression we aim to disrupt? There is evidence to support this approach. Research shows that relational accountability, being genuinely accountable to the communities we engage with, creates trust and leads for more sustainable solutions. And reflexivity, where we consistently examine our biases and powers, strengthens the ethical foundation of our work. Participatory and community-driven research ensures that the most impacted by systemic injustices are not only a part of the conversation, but are co-creators for the solutions. So when I first set out to make an impact in the violence prevention space, I believed that collaborations with fields like computer science would provide the tools I needed to understand how and why violence was moving online. And in many ways, those collaborations were helpful. They gave me new ways to analyze and interpret data. But here's the truth. The questions I was asking and the ways I initially viewed Jakira wouldn't get me the kind of impact I wanted to make. My approach was missing something crucial: accountability. To the people and the communities my research was supposed to serve. You see, the pictures on the screen represent a categorical shift in how I now see and understand Jakira. She's no longer just a data point or a story for analysis. She's a person whose humanity governs how I approach my work. That shift has fundamentally changed how I collaborate, not just with communities, but also with computer scientists and other partners. And so now I have 9 non-negotiables in my collaborations. I'm not chasing the so-called gold standard method. Instead, I prioritize methods that align with my values and the impact I believe we can make together. I hold myself and my collaborators accountable to the communities we aim to serve. This means asking hard questions and prioritizing ethical approaches and staying grounded in the humanity of the work. Partnership is no longer transactional. It's relational, built on trust, and guided by the principles that the process is just as important as the outcome. So this shift has helped me to see that accountability isn't a barrier to innovation, it's a driver of it. When we center accountability and partnership in our collaborations, we create research that doesn't just generate knowledge, but has the power to transform lives. So Jakira Barnes taught me that collaboration isn't just about observing, it's about partnering. So early in my work, I focused on analyzing behaviors and patterns, right? But her story showed me that true innovation happens when we move from observation to partnership, and when we center those most impacted and work with them and not just about them. To truly innovate through collaboration, we must hold ourselves accountable to these key principles. Are we asking the right questions? The questions we ask determine the impact of our work. It's not enough to just ask what is happening. We must ask why it's happening and how can we respond in ways that honor lived experiences. Research shows that co-creating questions with communities leads to more ethical and impactful work. How can collaboration help us solve problems differently? Collaboration should challenge us to break out of our familiar patterns. Interdisciplinary partnerships, like the ones I've had with computer science, can expand what's possible, helping us approach entrenched issues like violence prevention with new methods and perspectives. We should always be asking who's benefiting from these collaborations. Ethical partnerships require us to interrogate power. Who holds it? Who benefits? Who's left out? And we should always be asking ourselves, is this collaboration trustworthy and ethical? Trust is a non-negotiable, and it's built through accountability and transparency and actions that reflect our values. And so Jakira's story has reminded me that collaboration isn't just a tool, it is a moral obligation. By shifting from observation to partnership, we create work that doesn't just document change, but drives it. So I'm going to say it again, collaboration isn't easy, it's messy, uncomfortable, and often risky. But I think that's where the power lies. So as we move from observation to partnership, we must also challenge ourselves to step further outside of our comfort zones. True collaboration demands that we work with those we don't typically engage. Whether it's other disciplines and policymakers or tech developers or communities we've historically overlooked, we must build ethical and transparent partnerships that foster trust and mutual accountability. We have to navigate different epistemologies. Collaboration often means reconciling different ways of knowing, whether it is the lived experiences of community or the technical precision of data science or the structural perspectives of social work. This is where discomfort emerges, when we sit with the perspectives that challenge our assumptions, disrupt methods, and push us to grow. But it's also where transformation happens. Collaboration that is safe and familiar rarely drives innovation. And if we want to create work that truly matters, we must embrace the risk and discomfort of engaging with new partners, new ideas, and new possibilities. So let's explore what it means to move through discomfort towards impactful, transformational collaboration. One of the most transformative shifts in my work has been moving from seeing youth as research participants to valuing them as domain experts. This change fundamentally reshaped how I collaborate with communities. You see, it required me to check my power at the door and recognize where my expertise ended and where theirs began. Youth brought lived experience and deep contextual knowledge that I could never replicate. But it wasn't enough to just engage them directly. I also had to build meaningful partnerships with adults who support them, ensuring youth had positive and beneficial experiences throughout the research process. So this shift was critical in how I used artificial intelligence to analyze social media posts. So rather than relying on AI systems to blindly categorize language, systems that oftentimes reflect and reinforce racist tendencies, We trusted the expertise of youth translate and unpack nuanced language. These domain experts helped us build AI systems that thought more like them, empathetic and context-aware and reflective of real life, instead of like robots trained on biased data sets. Their insights didn't just improve the technology, they redefined how we approach collaboration, making the process more ethical and impactful and community-centered. Youth were not just a part of the process, they were the key to innovation. They taught me that collaboration isn't about just leading or guiding, it's about creating space for others to lead, share, and transform the work in ways we could never imagine alone. So this slide shows the profound impact that youth domain experts had on how our MSW annotators translated and interpreted social media posts from Black youth. So by working closely with youth domain experts, our annotators were challenged to go beyond surface level interpretations. The youth helped complicate how posts were read, urging our annotators to look for deeper context and nuance. And so this shift fundamentally changed how posts were labeled. For example, a post that might initially be interpreted as aggressive or harmful was often revealed through the lens of youth expertise to be an expression of grief or loss. This distinction was critical. Mislabeling a post could have reinforced harmful stereotypes or missed the opportunity to understand the emotional depth behind the language. Youth domain experts transformed the process, making it more accurate and empathetic and reflective of the realities that Black youth face. This collaborative approach didn't just improve the quality of research, it ensured that our work aligned with the values of equity, justice, and care. I think Dr. Sean Joe's Homegrown St. Louis project exemplifies collaborative innovation in action. For over 10 years, this groundbreaking project focuses on improving life outcomes for Black boys and young men in St. Louis, leveraging a highly collaborative, community-centered approach to drive systemic change. So why is Homegrown St. Louis a model for collaborative innovation? You see, it focuses on community-driven solutions. Homegrown St. Louis prioritizes deep engagement with local communities, building partnerships with schools and social service organizations and families and policymakers. This multi-sector approach ensures that solutions are rooted in the lived realities of the young men they aim to serve, making the work highly relevant and impactful. It leverages data-driven insights. The project uses cutting-edge tools like community mapping and data analytics to identify gaps in services and track progress. This innovative use of data doesn't just inform the work, it empowers stakeholders with actionable insights to improve systems and create long-term change. It focuses on capacity building. Dr. Joe's work isn't just about creating interventions, it's about strengthening the infrastructure of marginalized communities. Homegrown St. Louis supports the development of robust ecosystems of resources, from workforce development to mental health services, ensuring that young men and their families have access to sustainable support systems. So why does this matter? Homegrown St. Louis demonstrates how collaborative innovation can transform marginalized communities by combining rigorous research, community leadership, and systems-level thinking. And it's a model for how researchers can work ethically and transparently with communities to build solutions that are equitable, impactful, and grounded in trust. So Dr. Joe's work reminds us that collaboration isn't just a strategy, it's a commitment to shared power and collective action for lasting change. So building on the powerful examples of collaborative innovation we've explored, I want to shift the focus to some new work in my lab, the SAFElab, work that challenges us to reimagine where our knowledge comes from and how we create solutions. The lessons from Jakira Barnes, youth domain experts, and collaborative leaders like Dr. Sean Joe have shown us that traditional sources of knowledge and solutions often fall short, and to truly address the complex challenges facing marginalized communities, we have to think differently. So at SAFElab, we're asking, what happens when we center non-traditional voices as the core of our knowledge creation? How can we design solutions that honor complexity and humanity and context? And what new possibilities may emerge when we prioritize equity, trust, and innovation in equal measure? So in this next section, I want to highlight some of the work we're doing in the SAFElab to reimagine knowledge systems and forge new paths to solutions. One of the most meaningful collaborations I've been a part of is a multimedia project on grief in Harlem. This project emerged from a research study, a partnership between clergy and psychiatry and social work. And we focused on creating tools to support clergy in navigating the overwhelming grief related to COVID-19 in Harlem churches. But as a group, we quickly realized that papers and scientific tools would not be enough. The complexity of grief, particularly in the Black community already carrying layers of historical systemic loss, required something more. So we collectively decided to tell the story another way. And together we created a documentary that captured how a community of Black folk in Harlem coped with COVID-19 and other forms of loss. And so this collaboration taught me about the power of storytelling. Storytelling meets people where they are. It goes beyond journals and conference talks to reach those who might never engage with traditional academic outputs. It amplifies voices. By centering the lived experiences of Harlem clergy and community members, we created narratives that was raw and real and accessible. And it creates connection. You see, when I showed the documentary for the first time at Christmas, something extraordinary happened. My grandmother, who was 90 years old, understood my research for the first time. She saw the work that I do and why it matters. Storytelling is a powerful form of collaboration, and it brings people into the research in ways that numbers and papers never could. And it reminds us that innovation isn't just about tools and methods, it's about finding ways to connect and communicate and honor the humanity of the communities that we serve. So now I'm just going to show a brief clip of the documentary.
Myself at an interesting time in life. I'm going to be 75 years old. And, you know, I've had a lot of losses recently, so this is very timely. And it's caused me to really take stock of my own life. I am finally at a place where I don't have to have any major goals except live every day. That is where I am. My goal is to wake up every day with a reasonable portion of health and strength, and to serve God, and to live a life of abundance. And I'm not talking about material abundance, but I'm talking about I want to be alive when I die.
Oh, that was deep, brother.
I don't want to be dead long before I die. I want to be fully alive when I die.
Let me begin my message today by saying there is an unprecedented level of grief in the world today. Grief that is beyond our comprehension. Grief beyond our ability to wrap our minds around. Grief is real. Touch your neighbor and tell them grief is real. Here in Harlem, particularly in our church, we experienced unprecedented grief.
So, as I reflect on my journey, I now believe that joy must be an imperative in collaborative innovation. Why? Because joy isn't just a feeling, it's a transformative force that can reshape how we work and what we create together. So here's why I think joy matters in collaboration. It frees up cognitive space. Joy creates the mental and emotional bandwidth needed for better, deeper, and healthier collaborations. And when we center joy, we create space for creativity and innovation and meaningful connection. It changes how we talk about diverse communities. Too often, the narrative around marginalized communities focuses solely on struggle or deficit. So centering joy allows us to highlight resilience and strength and possibility instead. And it brings fun back to work. Collaboration doesn't have to feel heavy or burdensome. Joy reminds us that meaningful work can also be energizing and playful and sustaining. And so the JoyNet project brings these ideas to life. In this initiative, we work with youth in New York City and Philly to define joy and use it as an intervention for violence that starts online. So here's how it works. Youth, as collaborators and trainers, we work with young people to train machine learning algorithms to identify joy on platforms like TikTok and Instagram, ensuring that AI systems reflect their realities and not biased or harmful assumptions. And we're creating joyful spaces. Youth then use this knowledge to build space where they can share and discuss and plan joyful events together online and in person. So by centering joy as both a goal and a method, JoyNet reimagines how we approach violence prevention. It shifts the focus from responding to harm to proactively building space for healing and connection and celebrations. Y'all, joy isn't just something nice to have. It is a transformative tool for collaborative innovation. And when we center joy, we open the door to new possibilities for how we can work and create and imagine a better future. So collaboration in social work can't just be about working together. It must drive transformative solutions that center humanity, equity, and justice. And so I call this collaborative innovation for social work science, a framework built on one essential foundation, trust. Trust is the bedrock. So without it, partnerships are transactional. With it, they become a space for deep transformative work that changes systems and lives. And so from trust, we built 4 key pillars. Future orientation. Social work must look ahead, anticipating challenges and creating systems that are ready for the future. It's not just about solving today's problems, but asking, what do communities need to thrive decades from now? It has ethical technology use. Technology can amplify our work, but only if guided by equity and accountability. This means building tools that address systemic inequities and ensuring communities drive tech design and use it, not the other way around. It requires reflexivity, collaboration starting with examining ourselves. And it's all about active listening. Listening isn't passive, it is transformative. It requires humility and trust, ensuring community voices don't just inform the work, but actively shape the direction. You see, collaborative innovation is a call to action. It challenges us to think bigger and partner more intentionally and create solutions that don't just respond to the moment, but reimagine what's possible for generations to come. We are living in a time of profound crisis, global challenges, political polarization, and systemic inequities. And these realities shape the communities we serve, and they demand bold action from us as social work scientists. Now is the time to push the boundaries for collaborative research. We must lead the way in developing rigorous ethical models of collaboration that respond to the complexities of our world. We must innovate with urgency and purpose, ensuring that our work centers justice, equity, and humanity at every step. And in a time when administrations, be it Trump or anyone else, challenge the very foundations of justice, social workers must act boldly, unapologetically, and collaboratively to protect the communities most impacted by these forces. So I leave you with this question. What would our organizations, our world, look like if we embrace the full potential of collaboration? So y'all, let's take what's already in our DNA, our commitment to justice, equity, and care, and to use it to redefine what collaboration can and must be for our science, for our communities, and our world. The work begins with us. Let's get to it. Thank you. Do we have time for questions? Okay. Are there any questions in the audience?
Hi, Dr. Upton, Patton. My name is Brianna. Thank you for such a thorough and important talk. I was curious about how do you balance urgency with the commitment and ethical obligation to collaboration, both professionally and in your substantive area. Like on the other end of violence prevention are these life or death situations. So how do you balance urgency with that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think for me, it really centers on my values. And I want my values to drive how I conceptualize what is urgent, how I build teams, and how I collaborate in these spaces. And so when it's hard to figure out where to go and what to do because there's so much going on in the world, let your values drive that decision making.
Okay. Thank you.
It was a great talk. I could listen to you day and night. You're wonderful. So I'm just thinking about joy, and I'm thinking about Kamala Harris trying to use joy in her campaign. And I grew up on Long Island. I spent years in California. I never really heard the word joy until I moved to the South. And I'm just wondering, is joy really a broad concept that cuts across culture and place? Or is joy really more of an African-American concept that Kamala Harris tried to bring to the country in some ways, but didn't quite, it wasn't enough?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. So I teach a course at Penn called The Journey to Joy, and one of the things that we talk about very early on in that class is that joy is for everyone, and that we also have to demystify and reimagine how we define what joy is. And so in many cultures, folks don't use the term joy, and so we have to really catch whether or not we're using westernized ways of talking about these feelings and emotions. But when we dig deeper and think about various connections to joy, whether joy comes from deep pain or sorrow or grief, well, everyone experiences deep pain and sorrow and grief. And so you don't have to be from a particular context or culture to have that connection from pain to joy. And so I truly believe that joy is for everyone. We may have different ways of defining it or what we call it.
Hi, my name is Rupeng An from NYU. Really thank you for the transformational talk. So you are sitting on the ethics committee in TikTok. So No, you probably guessed what I'm asking. So if TikTok is banned by the administration, we already see like a flood of people who are TikTok influencers, and they call themselves TikTok refugees, and they flood into, very interestingly, another Chinese social media platform called Redbook, and now it's become really flooded with people from US, from UK, creating this dynamic interplay that, because the Red Note even doesn't have an English translation to Chinese because it's built for people in China. And now we see this people flooding to that platform and speaking English, and people trying to half guess what they are talking. There are a lot of exchange of the conversational, cultural background, religion, etc., creating this fantastic dynamics.
Yeah.
So what's your intake of the interaction, and what's the next step to understand the social media impact for cultural exchange, etc.?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I don't know if I have a solid answer for you. What I know, what's become very clear is a couple of things. One is that folks love TikTok, and TikTok and other social media platforms have a transformative impact on how people see the world, how people connect, workforce opportunities, and so forth. And so it's very clear that social media is not something that we can just put aside. It is here, and we need to understand it and its role in the communities that we work in. I was just at TikTok last week, and they didn't seem really nervous. And so that gave me a little hope. They were still in planning mode and kind of moving full steam ahead. And so that gave me some hope for the future of not just TikTok, but also I think what it is forcing me to think about is that we can't be so attached to any one platform. And we need folks like the folks in this room to be a part of how we co-create these platforms together. And so my hope is that folks like you and everyone else in the room can be a part of that co-creation as we think about the future of social media and technology writ large. All right. Thank you all so much.